My name is Shahin Mirzai. I'm an LLM student at Penn State Law. I am participating with Manglona Lab for Gender and Economic Equity, and for one of the lab's project, Witness to Her Story, we are capturing women's personal experience during a dynamic era in the United States. Today, I have the privilege of welcoming Ms. Genia Webb. She is a retired nurse and an amazing grandmother. Thank you so much for joining us, Gina.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with your early childhood. So, can you tell me when were you born?
June 1952
Okay. And where did you grow up?
in Clarion, Iowa.
Hmm. And who were the members of your family?
I had one sister and I have three brothers.
Mhm. And your parents? Did you live with both of them?
My mom was busy. She owned a nursery, and my father passed away when I was like in fourth grade from
Hmm.
he was a severe diabetic. So I
Hmm.
didn't get to know him very much besides in his hospital bed.
Hmm. I'm sorry about that. You said your mom, what was her job?
She owned a nursery,
Okay.
the flowers and tree kind, not the
Hmm.
kids.
So, how would you describe your relationship with your mother? I know that you said she was very busy, especially like taking care of you and managing her business. So, how would you describe your relationship with her?
Um, it was not close because she was always busy and out of the house. So basically, my sister and my brothers, we kind of were on our own and raised ourselves, basically.
Mhm. So, how did your mom manage all those responsibilities? Like, I know that you said basically you guys raised yourself, but like, I assume still there were chores in the home besides a business that needed to be run. So, do you know how did she manage them?
She had one man that she worked with that worked outside, and then grandparents helped, but otherwise she did on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
we had a babysitter, of course, when we were younger, when
mhm,
she was out of the house a lot, but that was only like when she gave birth to my brothers and stuff. Then we had this other lady come in, but other than that, it was just family.
mhm. And did your mother have any hobbies outside of the home?
Nope, because she was so busy working.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved to Clinton, Iowa, she belonged to some flower club.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And then she worked for a nursery, which she was a landscaper after we moved.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of things did you discuss with your mom growing up? Like, I know you were not close, but like, did you guys talk about different subjects and topics?
Um, no, she wasn't that kind of a mom. It was like, do your homework. And she did the cooking through meals and she would like help in the kitchen. It was her kitchen. So it wasn't the best relationship, I would say, compared to some others.
Hmm. So I know that you had one sister and three brothers. How was your relationship with them?
Um, Close. Um, my sister, of course, did a lot of the cooking and we had to share chores and hang up clothes and all that kind of stuff. But um, my brother was busy working outside with my mom. And the
Mhm.
younger brother, I guess he's like 5 years younger than me. He didn't do much that I remember. We just, playing together. And the other one was a stepbrother after she got married. And that was years ago. So he's how much older is Rodney than me? Younger? Yeah, yeah, I was in high school when he was born. Yeah, he's like 15 years younger. So didn't have much to do with him besides babysit.
Mhm. So how were the chores around the house were divided between you and your siblings?
She told us what to do and we did it. Whatever my sister and I did the cleaning and the dishes, and my brothers did garbage, and everybody had chores, and that's just what we did.
Mm-hmm. And how were your mother's expectation for you and your sister were different from your brother, from what she had for your brothers? Do you think they were different?
Yep, she liked her sons better than her daughters for some reason. So, because he liked doing what she did, because he's also a landscaper and nurseryman now. So he did the outdoor stuff with her, so there was a closer relationship.
Mm-hmm. So how did that make you feel?
Um, Not good because she favored the boys better than the girls, but we didn't know any different really till I got older to see the difference. So
Mhm.
not much I could do about it.
Mhm. And how did she favor them? Like you said that you said that your brothers were working with her, but like other than that, how did she favor them?
Um, she paid for their education and not mine.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I guess that's about the only way. And they did more things because they were outside working with her.
Hmm. Did your mom pay for your sister's education?
Nope.
So only boys.
Yep.
Okay. And why do you think was that? Like, why was she reluctant to pay for your sister and you when it comes to education, but she was willing to do that for the boys?
I think so they would have a good education to support their families is the only thing I can think of. And she figured that we'd just be housewives like she was, but she didn't understand that we wanted to be professionals. My sister was a teacher.
Hmm.
She also she got her master's. So,
Hmm.
but oh yeah, she was a dental hygienist for a while, and then she had to earn the money to pay for her education. Then she went on, but we had to do it on our own, and we she didn't even babysit for me, so I had to hire babysitters. So
Hmm. Did you and your sister ever communicate? Let me rephrase that. Did you and your sister ever communicate that you wanted to be professionals growing up?
yeah, we talked. She wanted to be a airline stewardess for a long time, and then her fiance at the time didn't want her to do that. So then somehow she ended up being a teacher. But I guess she didn't encourage me to go on to school. I guess I just knew I wanted to be a nurse because that's all I did. I was candy striper, then a nurse's aide, and that's just how I was grown up to work and be in the nursing field. So
Mhm. So, do you remember any of your friends' household? Was it the same in respect to chores and responsibility to your home?
no, we did a lot more than other kids because she was too busy to do stuff that we had to do. Like we did the laundry, we did hang up the clothes, and they were more free to do stuff, and we were always busy or had to work or we didn't have the money to go places like they did.
Mhm. So, all of these, I think, affected your relationship with your mom. Did you ever like after you grew up and after you went to the nursing school, did you ever communicate those feelings to your mother?
No, we never
Why?
really. I don't know, because what good would it do? I guess we just dealt with it.
Mhm. And what about your brothers? Did you ever like told them how you feel that your mom favored them?
Yeah, we would do that like when we would get together at funerals, and of course after you start drinking and talking, then we'd say stuff like, "She favored you. You're number one. She paid for your education and not ours." And we let them know how we felt, but they just laugh it off. So
Hmm. And how did that make you feel that your brothers were ignoring and not validating your feelings?
they they kind of knew it, but there's nothing they could do about it. I mean, I think my brother now, because I took care of my mom when she was ill as she was getting older, so he's been trying to do nice things to pay me back. because he definitely has more money than I do. So yeah, so he kind of like when I go to his nursery, anything I wanted, I got free. I get free flowers. He did my landscaping free. So he's been doing kind things to help me
Mhm.
with what he can
And,
do.
mhm. And you said that your father passed away when you were in fourth grade. What was his job before that?
Um, he worked on the roads, like big machinery making roads and highways.
Mhm,
I saw pictures of that, but I have no remembrance of it.
mhm,
County Road Commission, is that what it was? I guess. My husband says he worked for the county, so I
mhm,
just know that that's what he did. But of course, I really didn't see him working because by the time I was old enough to know what was going on, he'd already not able to work. So,
mhm. So let's talk a bit about your elementary school. When did you first start at elementary school?
um, kindergarten when I was 5.
Mhm,
We didn't have preschools in the town I lived in, of course, back then. So it was a small farm county, and the school was from kindergarten all the way to high school.
mhm,
I just remember my kindergarten class. I remember, and um, her name is Mrs. Greenfield, and we even had her over for dinner. That's the only teacher I ever remember because my mom invited her over to dinner. So,
mhm.
and I liked school.
What did you like about it?
It was just a chance to get out, and I liked recess because I got to play. So we didn't have in our yard. We only had a sandbox. We didn't have a lot of toys to play with at our house. It was either you go play in the field with the flowers or you go in the sandbox. We didn't have
Mhm,
a swing set, so I liked school because I had kids to play with, and I don't know. That's all I remember is that it was a way to get out. We had to take the bus to school, and I hated taking the bus. I still hate taking buses. So I was always worried that I wasn't going to have a seat.
mhm.
So I didn't want to get on the bus.
That's a valid reason, honestly.
Right.
So was your school big or was it just a small school?
Very small.
Mhm. Um, so did you and other girls have a dress code?
In the grade school? No, I
Um,
don't remember.
no,
In high school, of course, I wore uniforms when I went to the private school.
no, in the elementary school.
No, there was no dress code.
Mhm. So what would you usually wear to school then?
Um, Pants and a shirt. Um, I know occasionally I wore a lot of dresses. I never wore jeans until I was in high school. My mom never bought me jeans. It was always the pull-up pants. I
Mhm,
always resented that because I always wanted jeans like my friends had, but I always had the stretch pants.
mhm.
But
And
I was always on the heavier side, so maybe that's why. I don't know.
and did you ever ask her why she refused to buy you jeans until you were in high school?
No, I just did what I was supposed to do, and a lot of my clothes were hand-me-downs. And then in high school, I would have to buy my own clothes, so that's why I bought jeans. So
Mhm. So when you say you had to buy your own clothes, you mean you had the freedom to do that, or that was your own responsibility?
when I started working, she kind of just said, if I wanted, I buy it. So I would buy my own clothes.
Mhm. And did you like buying your own clothes?
I guess I didn't know the difference, so it didn't bother me that. But then when I talked to my friends, of course, their parents, they'd go shopping and they'd get all this fun stuff, but I did not, but I dealt with it. So
Mm.
I don't know. I
So,
guess I never really worried about it.
so you said that the girls didn't have a dress code in elementary school. Did boys have any dress code?
Not that I remember.
Mm. And when you were in elementary school, were your teachers mostly men or women?
Um, Middle school is the only time I remember having men. Elementary was all women.
Mhm. And when you were in elementary school, did you have any dreams or aspirations? I know that you always wanted to be a nurse, but like, what was your thoughts and dreams when you were in elementary school?
Well, I was always going to be a teacher because when
Oh,
you know when you play with your dolls, you set them up in front of you and you're the teacher. So I was always going to be a teacher, I thought. So
mm. So why did you choose nursing then?
I think it was because after I saw my dad was in a hospital bed, and and then of course we'd go to the hospital, but we couldn't go in for some reason. We'd just see through the windows, and I guess I just wanted to grow up making people feel better because of the way I was raised with him all the time. So
Mhm.
that's the only reason I can think of. But I liked being a candy striper because it was a volunteer thing, and I was in the hospital, and I really liked it.
Mhm. What about your friends? What did they wanted to become when they grew up? When they grew up?
My friends,
Hmm.
I think we all wanted to be teachers when we were little because but that's all we did when we play a house. Well, we'd play house, and of course we'd still be teachers, going off to work and doing silly things like that. I think it was always teachers for some reason. That's what we were around. So,
Hmm. So was that the only job that you see women doing in your community?
um, yeah, because everybody is either a teacher or a farmer. I mean, and we didn't go out to eat, so I didn't get to see waitresses or stuff like that because we didn't do that. Um, the only fast food in our town was an A&W, and
Mhm.
that'd be our big treat to go to A&W. So there wasn't fast food. Um, so yeah, it was a little different than growing up in a town like I live in now, where there's fast food everywhere. So,
So did you have any role models then, back then?
um, not really, just teachers. Because even my relatives were all my aunts were stay at home.
Hmm.
They're farmers' wives. Trying to think. I don't think there was any professionals that were in my family.
What about outside of your family? Like, besides your teachers, did you see any other women that you'd like to look up to?
Um, no, we really didn't get to go anywhere besides we'd have to go to swimming lessons. So that it's of course a woman again teaching how to swim. Um, no, not really.
And do you think if you had maybe a role model, would you made a different decision regarding your career?
I don't think so. If I The volunteer work that I did, I worked in the theater, so I did have a little bit of meeting the people and dealing with money and food and stuff, but I'd rather be in the hospital taking care of people, so I don't think I would have changed it.
Mhm.
I think I would have not stayed in geriatrics so long. I should have stayed in pediatrics. And my instructor wanted me to be a nurse practitioner and wanted me to go on, and she wanted to sponsor me, but I had a daughter and she was only 2, so I didn't have the care or the money to go on, but she said I should have gone on, which I probably should have, but
And why didn't you like the geriatric?
oh, I liked it. It was hard. I mean, that's why I have so many back problems now because we didn't have the lifts and all the stuff that they have nowadays. You did it yourself. And
Mhm.
well, I got injured at work too. So a lot
Mhm.
of lifting, a lot of turning, but just stayed with pediatrics. So pediatrics is where I worked when I was a nurse's aide, and I really enjoyed that. So
What did you enjoy the most about it?
pediatrics,
Yeah.
um, I enjoyed the kids and seeing them get better, but then it was not so fun when they're really critically ill and that they don't have a life. So that was hard. So I guess I
Mm.
didn't want to deal with that. In geriatrics, I knew they had their life, I knew they were going to die. It was easier than a child.
Mhm. It was mentally easier for you to deal with it.
Yep.
Okay. So now shifting into your high school years, when did you start high school?
Um, well, I mean, like age-wise, I was
I
like,
mean, like, what year was it?
what year was it? I graduated in 70. So I would have started in 4 years before that. 60, 68,
Mm-hmm.
67, 68. But the high
Mm-hmm.
school, I started in high school at a public high school. Well, we had a fire during Christmas break. There was an arson. And so I didn't have to go back to that high school because my mom said, no way, because they were all shifted to like junior highs and divided in half classes because high school was being rebuilt. And my mom didn't want me to do that. So um, she sent me to the, why did my brother stay at the public school? Now I got you, now I'm thinking here. She sent me to the academy. Where'd they go? Hmm. I guess she left them. Was I the only one? Hmm. I guess
So,
my oldest brother my sister was out of high school before I went to high school. And Doug would Doug be out of high school when I went? Yeah, no. See, I don't remember, but he must have stayed at the public high school. Well, she shipped me to the academy. Now you got me thinking, I was like, why did I have to go to the public school? He must have been
so,
his senior year, and she let him do the half days, I guess.
so how was an academy different with a high school?
It was all girls.
Okay.
It was like Mount St. Clair,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all girls. And of course, she had to pay, which really surprises me that she did that. Um, and you had to wear uniforms. I had the plaid skirt and the blue blazer and the knee highs. But the nuns, I wasn't Catholic, so the nuns didn't like me. And I had long bangs, and they always told me my bangs are too long. And I always rolled my skirt up, so they always told me my skirt was too short. And then the nuns are nice. They just picked on me more because I wasn't Catholic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Were you allowed to wear pants in high school?
No, they wore their little plaid skirt,
Mm-hmm.
no
And
pants.
and did you like going to a non-co-ed school?
No, but I still had my friends from high school that were boys and girls, so I hung out with friends from the high school and the academy. So I still saw a lot of the boys at dances and stuff. So
Mm-hmm. So, which one did you like better, your private school or your public school?
I hated the public school because I was kind of self-conscious, and they
Mm-hmm.
did swimming and trampoline and stuff like that in gym classes, and I hated it. I would say I had a stomach ache or whatever. So when I went to the academy, they just had a gym. I could handle the volleyball and the basketball, but the high school again, that kind of stuff, and I hated it. So I was glad in a way to be at the academy.
Mm-hmm. So, what was your favorite subject in high school?
Um, Hold back. So I like to cook and sew, which is not a good subject. I hated math. I was the only senior in the algebra class, algebra one. And of course, all the freshmen thought I was cool because I was a senior. So they all helped me and did my homework for me because I hate math. So English was probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I like bookkeeping, which they don't even do bookkeeping nowadays, but I like to do bookkeeping.
So, you said that you liked home ec. Was that offered to both girls and boys, or was it just for girls?
Well, it was private school, all girls, so
Oh,
all
sorry,
girls.
I forgot that.
But you know, in the high school, I told Mac I had to go back. My um, Betty Crocker cookbook burned up. Um, but there was no boys in my class. It was all girls at the public school. So I don't
Mhm.
know if it's, I'm sure it had to be offered to him. I really don't know.
Mhm.
There was no
And,
boys, so
and what kind of extracurriculars did you do in your high school, except of like gym?
um, they really didn't offer anything
Mhm.
extra. Like you could be in like the yearbook thing to help write make the yearbook. Um, trying to think, I don't think they offered anything. I don't know if I would have had time anyway. I was working full time when I was in high school, so I wouldn't have had time to be anything anyway. So I don't think they did.
What were you doing?
What was I doing when I was working?
Yeah.
I was a nurse's aide, and then I worked
Okay.
at the theater behind the
Mhm.
concession stand for a big whopping $1.10 an hour.
Mhm. So, so how did you manage your classes and exams with working?
I didn't sleep a lot, but I got better grades in college than I did high school because I was always messing around. Um, but I graduated from college with a 4 point and honors. But high school, I got B's, some A's. I wasn't honor student all the time because I didn't have time to study. And when I did have time off, I wanted to go hang out with my friends.
Mhm. And were you able to choose your classes in high school?
Yeah, my mom would just say, do what you want. That was her. Do what you want. Do what you want.
Did you like to get some sort of suggestion or recommendation from her?
Um, I guess I really didn't expect it. So I think I probably talked to my sister and my friends more than my mom. She was busy, busy. And then when she was a landscaper, she worked full time and she had um, her boss would let us come to his farm and go swimming and stuff. And I'd do that. And I guess I would ask him stuff. He was a really nice boss.
Mm.
Um, so I talked to him a lot, and he encouraged me to go on to school and stuff.
Mhm. What did you two talk about?
Um, just what I wanted to do later in life, and he was real supportive because I think he knew that we didn't have much of a childhood. So he had a fishing pond. He'd let us go fishing, and he had a pool, so we'd go swimming. And we just weren't used to having that kind of luxury to do stuff like that. And he kind of took us under his wing. And he was married, but he still liked my mom really well. And we just came close with him. That's the only male figure that I really remember.
Mhm. So, did you maintain that relationship during your adulthood with him as well? Or was it just
No,
limited to your childhood?
just childhood. Because after um, that was in Clinton, I guess after she got married, um, second time, she still worked for him, but then she quit. And I don't know what happened to him. But it ended up that my brother bought his nursery, I think. But I don't know. He didn't, he was still around, but I don't remember much to deal with him after that.
Mhm. So, was there any kind of sex education offered in high school?
Sex education, is that what you said?
Yes.
Um, only in our health class, the normal, wait, hold on a minute. He's going to turn his so you can plug you in.
Okay.
Just don't want you to run out of juice.
Yeah, in high school is just the health class, the normal videos that you got to see and the talks. And my mom did not discuss anything with me like that. And so even when I started my period, my friends would always tell me about their menstrual cycle and blah, blah, blah. And I was a late bloomer, I guess. And my mom didn't even tell me what to expect or anything. So I was kind of on my own to find out all those things on my own.
So did did your friend's mother talk to them about periods and menstrual cycle?
I think so, because they were always more educated on it, and they always had what they needed when they started because they discussed it. But my mom wasn't real personal about anything with me. So
How did that make you feel, like not knowing what to do in your period?
I guess I didn't know the difference that everybody else knew more than me. I just dealt with it.
Mm.
I thought my sister probably should have talked to me, but she never did. So, but we weren't that close growing up because she was older than me, and she moved out when she was 18. And so she was, how much older was Evelyn than me, Tim? She was 7 years older than me. Evelyn,
What?
7 years older than me, right?
No,
How much?
she's older than Doug, right?
Yeah,
By a year or two, that's it. So maybe 5 years,
only 5 years.
not that much.
No, when she was in high school, I know I was not in high
I
school.
think she went to high school.
And then she went to college in Ames. So we weren't close back then. We'd fight a lot because that's what we did when we were older. But then when we got to be adults, then we really got close.
Mhm.
In fact, I even
So,
lived with her for 2 years.
mhm. So was the content of that health education class helpful to you?
Apparently not, because I got pregnant. So apparently that didn't help me, and my mom didn't discuss anything. So I wasn't on birth control or anything like that because she didn't discuss that. Now with my kids, I gave them the option, and I made sure that I talked to them about sex, or I would video Oprah Winfrey or talks on TV about it, and then I'd make the girls watch it. So I made sure my girls knew, so they did not get pregnant ahead of time if they didn't want to be pregnant.
Hmm. So what did you do when you got pregnant? Like you were still in high school, right?
No, I was out of high school. I was just um, I was 19, I think I was. I was a year out of high school. In fact, I was in nurses training when I got pregnant, and of course I had to drop out because I didn't want to be pregnant. And so, no, I was in college when I got pregnant.
Hmm.
But my mom didn't want anything to do with me because she was couldn't believe that happened. But it's like she would have told me what was going on in life, it might not have happened. But I dealt with it, so I dropped out of high school and went back to work full time. Not high school, college. And then I went back after I graduated from nurses training in 72. So after I had Renee, I lived in Texas. And then after that, I came back and started the education again. So
So was the content that the teachers taught you in that health education, was it the same for boys and the girls, or was the content different for? You said that you went to a only girls' school, but like, do you think maybe you said that you still was in contact with your friends from your public high school, so did they have another kind of sex education class?
I know in middle school, they divide us up, the boys and the girls. We never had the same class for the sexual part of it. They divided us. I remember that.
Hmm.
But in high school, of course, if you didn't take the health class or anything, they didn't discuss anything with you. Then I was only there for a semester. But then the girls' school, I don't know if they even really discussed it that much. I don't think I took health or anything. So
Hmm.
I just took the normal courses.
Hmm. So what did you and your friend do during your free time in high school?
We would go to the Saturday night dance, or we would just hang out and do cards and games and stuff.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. We didn't really go to movies. No, we just hang out. The dance was a big thing. Everybody went to the dance.
So, do you recall reading any books or magazines when you were in high school?
I didn't have time. I was either working or weekends out with my kids, friends. I wasn't really a reader. I did too much of that when I was in school, so I wasn't a reader.
You didn't want to do it any more than you need to.
No, no, no.
So, earlier you mentioned that when you were in elementary school, you were thinking about becoming a teacher. Did that dream change in your high school?
Um, yeah, because that's when I became a nurse's or candy striper. That was in middle school, the candy striper. Well, then I was a nurse's aide all through high school, and just being around all the nurses and being close to them, I just wanted to be a nurse. So it changed.
So, shifting into your nursing school experience, where was it?
Where was it?
Yeah, where was your nursing school? I knew that you did a 2-year program, so where exactly was your school located?
Clinton, Iowa.
Hmm. And
And
which year did you start at that?
what?
And which year did you start at nursing school?
What year?
Yeah.
The second time it was 1970, because I graduated in 72.
Hmm.
72 from nurses training.
Oh, okay.
So, was your mother supportive of your decision of becoming a nurse, or she just didn't discuss it?
She didn't have any influence or discuss it.
Mm.
She just said, whatever you want. So I wanted
And
to be an
how?
RN, but I couldn't afford to be an RN. And she wasn't helping me, so I only could afford to be the LPN.
Mhm. And could she afford it, or the money was tight at the time?
Um, the money was tight, but she was remarried, and I think she thought the boys need education more than the girls, so she helped my brothers. Because one brother, Doug, well, he went to horticulture 4 years. And my brother Reg, um, what was he? I don't know what he was supposed to be, business. I don't know, but he went to 4 years too. So she helped them, but she didn't help us, my sister or I. So, and we resented it, and we let the boys know we resented it. But
Mhm. So you said that your mother remarried. What was your relationship with her husband?
um, I can't say we were close, but if there's a wasp in here on the window, he um worked night shift at a place called DuPont factory. He's sleep in the daytime, and he's busy all the time in the workshop. But he was really good. I taught us how to ice skate, and I don't know. Our relationship was okay, but not close. But I could talk to him.
So were the girls in your community also continued their education after high school?
Um, my best friend did not. Um, trying to think. No, I think I'm the only one that went to nurses training of my friends. And my other friend didn't do anything.
Why? Do you know like why they didn't continue their
Um,
education?
I don't know why she didn't go on. She's also had a child younger when she was younger, so maybe she couldn't afford it. I don't know. I guess I never really asked her.
Mhm. So do you recall the balance of men and women in the nursing school?
There were no men in my class at all. In fact, the first time that I went, there were no men, and the second time when I went back, there was no men.
Hmm.
There just weren't male nurses back then.
Like, was that, what do you mean? Was that only offered to girls? Nursing school, was that only offered to girls or
No, I
men?
think it was offered to anybody. Just the boys back then just didn't want to be nurses. I don't think there just wasn't any. I mean,
Mhm.
you wouldn't even dream of it. In fact, when I was working in the hospital, I only remember seeing one orderly the whole time that when I was working, which is
Mhm.
unusual. And then most of the time the patients didn't want him because they weren't used to having an orderly. So I would have to go do the back rubs and stuff for him because the women patients didn't want him. It
Mhm.
just wasn't common back then. Now it's very common to see male nurses and male orderlies and
Yeah. Um, just before we continue, I think you might want to change your position because I cannot see you completely.
can't see me.
I can see, but like it's just like only until your chin. So maybe,
Is that better?
yeah. Thank you.
I just feel that I'm so close up to you.
Yeah. So maybe I think if your face is in the middle, it looks better.
That
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
okay.
So, did you continue working while attending nursing school? I know that you worked all through your high school years.
And I worked when I was in college too
Mm-hmm. What
because
did you do?
I had a daughter. I was a nurse's aide.
Mm-hmm. Still continuing that job.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So, how having your daughter at such a young age impacted your career, do you think?
It stopped my career basically because I knew that I couldn't go on. So I wanted to be an RN and I couldn't afford it because of Renee. And then when the instructor offered to sponsor me to go on to be a nurse's practitioner, I couldn't do that because I had responsibility of my daughter and I didn't have the family backup to help me. So I couldn't go on,
So
which
you don't have any
I
help.
resent. No help. Nope. My mom, her saying to me was always, "You made your bed. Now, you made your bed. Now lie in it," or something like that. In other words, it was my fault that I had the baby early, so she wasn't going to deal with it. So she wouldn't even babysit for me. So
Wow.
she's not the number one mom in the world. So a lot of resentment, but there's nothing you can do. She's your mom. Still gotta love her. So
Mm-hmm.
she's lucky I took care of her when she needed me.
And throughout your nursing school, other than like um, having your daughter, of course, did any other major event happen in your life?
Um, no, not really.
So let's shift gears to your career. So how did you find your first job?
Well, because I was a candy striper in the hospital, they all knew me. And so applying for that job was kind of a given because they all wanted me to be there because I would do stuff as a candy striper, the stuff that the nurses' aides were doing. The stuff when I was doing the nurses' aid was the stuff that nurses were doing. I knew more about the hospital than a lot of people because I was always there.
Mhm. So where was that hospital located?
Clinton, Iowa, Mercy
And
Hospital.
mhm. And how was the interview process? Like you said that they all knew you, so I assume it was easier.
Um, I don't even remember an interview. I filled out the application and they told me when to start. So I don't know if that's because I was basically grandfathered in because I was a candy striper for so many years. I don't know. I don't remember an interview for that.
Mhm. So do you remember, like, they didn't ask any kind of questions then? That was just the form applications?
It was just a paper, just a application. That's all I remember.
So what was your position in that hospital?
I was a nurse's aide for mainly pediatrics, but I would float. So I did a lot of the post-op surgical floor. And then I know I was the only nurse's aide that's ever worked in ICU that needed help one night in ICU, and they threw me in there for 2 nights. And that's just never heard of. They they respected me and knew I knew what I was doing. So I had a lot more stuff and more skills than a lot of nurses' aides.
Mhm. So did you get a raise when you officially started working as a nurse aide?
I mean, after when I was going to school, did they give me a raise because I was going to school?
Yeah.
No, you got raised like every 6 months, I think it was. I was the highest paid, which was a big $1.10 an hour,
Mhm.
but I was the higher ranking, which is nowadays sounds ridiculous, but that was the pay back then, and that
Mhm.
was a lot.
Did you have any colleagues that weren't female? You said that your school were all female. So what about the job? Did you have any male nurse at the job?
Nope,
No.
they're all female.
And why were you the only nurse that worked at the ICU? I mean, you said that they knew that you were good, but like I assume ICU job is a bit more difficult than the usual job as a nurse. Did they pay you more for that position?
No, because basically it was just I floated in there because they're help that night. So sometimes I would work mainly pediatrics. Otherwise, they'd float me out to the surgical floor, and then sometimes I'd work OB. So they kind of flowed me around because they wanted me to be skilled in all the different departments, and I was willing to do it. So
Which one did you like the most? Like which department was your favorite?
I really liked pediatrics, and I thought I was going to do OB. Then after being in one of the deliveries when the baby did not make it, I decided I couldn't handle that. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to work that field anymore. So pediatrics, and then I thought in pediatrics, I decided I would do better with geriatrics, and it was easier. There's more openings in geriatrics because of the nursing homes and everything. So it was an easier way to get a job fast, like when I got out of nurses training. But then after nurses training, I went to Iowa City to work at the university. So I was basically thrown on my own, like where they would come to get outpatient treatments, like for a week or something. And I was in a place called Westlawn. It's connected to the hospital, but the patients just stay there to get treatments or something. So they gave me that responsibility. So I wasn't even under any, again, it was all females that I know that I worked with. But I think there wasn't even any male orderlies that I remember at the hospital. It was all females again. So I don't know
Even your
if I'm the right person to interview because I wasn't around that many males at all.
even your supervisor were all female?
All females.
Okay. And do you feel like you were compensated fairly when you were working as a nurse at that hospital?
No, you never feel like you're getting paid enough because of what you do. But that was just normal. But then when I knew that I was paid higher than my friends that I was working with, I couldn't complain because I was the higher paid. So
Mhm. So so was there any opportunity that you feel like you were deprived of because of your gender at your job?
no, because I didn't know that there was no males to compare with. So I mean, it was doctors. There's only males you saw in the hospital that were professional at that time. Were only doctors. So
Did you see any female doctor?
Not in my high school years. In my college years, after I went to Iowa City, of course, then there was female doctors. But in Clinton, I don't believe there was back then.
Mhm. So, do you remember ever working with an individual who was a member of LGBTQ community as a patient? Like, did you have any patient that were like gay or queer?
Um, no, back then it wasn't. They were all in the closet. Nobody was really, if they were, they didn't tell you, and they didn't.
Mhm,
They weren't as obvious they are nowadays.
mhm,
Um, I had a friend in at the Mount St. Clair at the Academy. We definitely knew she liked girls better, but back then it was just kind of you whispered about it, but you didn't know for sure. And no, 'cause they're all in the closet. Nobody really came out to say they were, but we knew she was, but only because she was real friendly with one of the nuns even, and we always talked about her. But
mhm,
it's not like nowadays where you know they are.
mhm. And did people treated her differently because of that?
No, she was still our friend. We still had sleepovers together. She was an Elvis Presley fan, so she was the one that always had all his albums and magazines about him. So we thought she was cool because of that. But we knew she didn't like boys, but we didn't hold against her. We still had slumber parties and stuff. Just not that she didn't do any advances as far as liking us or anything. So we're
Mhm.
okay with it.
So I know that abortion was illegal before 1973 at Illinois. So did that impact your career in any way? Like,
The abortion clinic was right below the floor that I worked.
oh wow.
Yeah. So I knew what was going on down there. I wasn't, I did not agree with it, but I did not want to work it and I never did offer to work it. But the clinic was right the floor below me.
And which year was that? Like
72, 73.
73. Okay. And why did you disagree with that abortion clinic? Like, why were you reluctant to work there?
Just knowing what was going on. I mean, I agree with abortion if it's necessary, like if they were raped or they had some, depends on the circumstance. I mean, I don't agree with abortion, but yet I agree with abortion if there's a circumstance behind it.
Mhm.
But if you're just doing it to do it, no, because you could have that baby and put that baby up for adoption. So
Do you still have the same idea today?
yeah, I do. I mean, you can't tell people what to do with their life, but you don't want to ruin the life of a baby because of something. But if there's a reason for it, I'm okay with it. But the reason better be good.
So, did you know anybody before that abortion was legalized in Illinois? Did you know anybody who were working with women who wanted to have an abortion when it was illegal?
No,
Okay. And I know that in 1975, if I'm correct, you started working as a geriatric nurse. What inspired you to do that? I know that you said it had a lots of heavy lifting and you didn't like it overall, but like, why did you do it in the first place?
um, I guess when I came back from Iowa City back to Clinton and I got remarried, um, it was an easy job to get and it paid more than the other job I thought that I was going to get. I tried working in a nursing home with nuns and I hated it because they were rude and it was horrible. So I tried walking out on that job. I hated that much. Then they talked me into staying and then I just got used to it. But then I changed from um, nursing home back to the hospital where there's geriatrics and I like that better.
Mhm.
For some reason, that's just what I stayed with.
You said that the nuns were rude. Like, what did they do that bothered you?
They would swear a lot and they didn't cooperate, and they were worse than a trucker. I mean, some of those nuns were terrible, and I wasn't used to being treated like that. And patients usually never made me cry, but those nuns could make me cry.
Oh, wow.
I know, and they were supposed to be nuns. It's like,
So what did you do about it? Like, I know that you changed your job, but like, did you ever communicate it with them that you are unsatisfied with how they are treating you?
well, I went to the supervisor, of course, when I was going to quit, or the administrator, whatever. She's supposed to be the director. And she just told me that they're senile, they're older, blah, blah, which I know. I mean, I dealt with geriatrics forever, but it was just a different, I guess because I went to high school and was taught by nuns, I thought they would be more respectful even being old. My cats decided to join our video here. Get down, Pandora. You're gonna see a cat in your face in a minute. So, but I don't know, they were just, I couldn't handle it. And then I stayed, I knocked her over. I stayed for a while with it, and then I went back to the hospital scene. It's my friend.
Mhm. What's her name?
Pandora.
Oh, wow.
Very, very friendly.
Yeah, I can see her ears.
This is her table. She likes to lay on this table and she's not liking me sharing it with her.
So, so I know that you went back to work as a geriatric nurse. Did you get a promotion?
I did because I worked at Fairhaven and I did the total care unit for years. Pandora. And then they made me head nurse.
Mhm.
And then I quit because I had my third child and I thought I was going to stay home. But then I decided not to. So then I worked at a children's home called Floberg, and it was for special needs. Well, that was
Mhm.
hard. So I did that for 2 years with special needs kids. And then I went back to Fairhaven and they made me charge nurse in the assisted living. So then I took charge of assisted living, which is geriatrics, but not quite as much lifting because they were mostly assisted living with, duplexes and apartments and stuff.
Seems like you have worked in lots of departments and different areas of nursing. So, with all that, what was the hardest part of your job as a nurse?
Death was the hard part, dealing with telling the family that they passed. And then I'd say working with the special needs kids, it's very, very, very hard on you. Because there's nothing you can do to help them besides treat the seizures and whatever behavior they're having. So that was hard, and I was glad to get out of that field. I would not do that for, it'd be a burnout. In fact, my daughter went into special ed, and I tried talking her out of it because I knew it was hard. But she's still hanging in there doing special ed. So
Does she like it?
she does like it. She kind of got burnt out because they don't have enough paras to help with them. So now she has she doesn't have her own classroom. She goes to the classes as they need them, or they come to her now. So she likes that better because she doesn't have to deal with the parents as much. Because the parents, special needs kids, can't understand why they're not excelling, and it's hard to explain to them that they're not going to. So she had a hard time with parents. So she was glad not to have a classroom.
So, what was the most rewarding part of your job as a nurse?
Um, I think caring for the older people that um, they they accepted you and they liked what you were doing for them, and I felt rewarded if I kept them healthy and happy, and I guess that's the
So,
best one.
mhm. So if you wanted to, like, if you could get back in time, would you still choose nursing as your career?
I don't think so.
Why?
Um, the pay is bad, the benefits are bad. I think I could have gone further. I don't know what I would have been, but I think probably I would have been nurse practitioner or a doctor if I would have kept going.
Mhm. So that's what you would have done if you could get back? Mhm.
I think I still probably would have been in the medical field. I just wouldn't have been a nurse.
Mhm. So how did that make you feel when your daughter decided to become a nurse then?
No, she's not a nurse. She's a special ed teacher.
Oh, sorry, special ed teacher.
Yeah.
So let's move forward to your marriage. When did you get married?
When I was 19, like 20. I guess I was 20. 20? Anyway, before I had Renee, I got married, so I was either 19 or 20.
Mhm.
Um, too young. I would have waited if I didn't have the baby, but because I was pregnant, we got married.
Mhm. And how did you two meet?
Um, I worked with him at the theater
Mhm.
because I was in the private school and he was in high school. So I met him at work, I guess.
Mhm. And I believe you two separated, right?
Pardon?
I believe you two separated after a while.
Yeah, I got divorced. Um, Renee was 2, I think, when I got divorced. He was in the military, Air Force, so I had to live in Texas and had no friends and had Renee by myself, and it was not fun.
Mhm.
Then we moved to Florida, and he was on the base, and it just wasn't working. So I moved back, and then we got divorced.
Mhm. So when did you get married to your current husband then?
Timmy and I got married in 1982.
Mhm.
We just had our 42nd anniversary last week.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
42 years.
Wow. What's the secret? That's such a long time.
He listens to me and says, "Yes, ma'am." No,
That's,
it's been good.
yeah, that's great. I'm so happy for you. So how did you and Timmy meet then?
Um, that was a funny story. I was a nurse, and one of my aides wanted me to go to a singles dance, and I said, "No way! I don't have a babysitter." Blah blah. Well, she talked me into it. I got a babysitter. Went to the singles dance, and I went up to order my wine, and I'm not a drinker, so I didn't know what I was doing. Hold on, I got my mouth is dry. Speaking of drinking,
Sure.
so I knew I drank wine with my sister sometimes. So I went to say I wanted the can't think of it now. But anyway, the guy next to me said, um, I'll buy that for you. So he bought my wine. Well, then I felt obligated that when it was a girl pick dance, some kind of silly thing, I thought, oh, I better go ask that guy to dance since he bought me a drink. So I asked him to dance, and we had name tags on, and I thought his said Tom, but his name is Tim. So I kept calling him Tom. Well, then it was his choice, men's choice for a dance, and he came over and asked me to dance again. And then we just started talking. Well, then when we were leaving, my girlfriend and I were going to her car, and it was snowing. It was winter, and her windshield wipers weren't working. And so he was standing next to us and he says, "We can't drive in that car because your windshield wipers don't work," because I mean, the snow was really heavy. And he said, "No, we'll be fine." Well, he said, "No, you won't be fine." Ah, Tim, come here. There's a stink bug out here. I hate bugs. Pandora, leave it alone. I have more problems with you. Sorry. I hate
No,
bugs.
that's okay.
The cat's gonna
I
play
hate
with
them
it.
too.
Do not play with that bug. Come rescue me. Oh, don't play with it, Pandora. See what I mean? He does what I say. That's how the marriage works. Thank you. So anyway, he gave us a ride home. Timmy did. So he took Rachel home first, and then he took me home. And then we sat in the car talking, and then he called me again, and we went out, and now we ended up getting married 42 years ago.
Wow, great.
So it was a singles dance.
So,
He seduced me.
You wish.
so I know that you first got married when you were around 19 or 20. Did your other friends also got married at the same time?
Sure. My girlfriend did also because she had a little boy about the same time I had Renee. She was my closest friend,
Mhm.
so she got married early. I guess all my other friends kind of, when they graduated, did their own thing and took off, so I really didn't keep in contact with them.
Mhm.
I didn't have much
So,
time for friends. I was either working or taking care of my baby or going to school.
mhm. You were busy all the time.
I was.
So I know that you said having kids impacted your career and you could have become an RN maybe, but did you like did you have to take any time off during your pregnancies too when you were pregnant?
When I moved to Texas, I did not work in Texas when I was pregnant. Um, and then when we moved to Florida, when he was in the Air Force, I didn't work then either. I just took care of Renee. So there's 2 years that I probably didn't work because of Renee. But the
Mhm.
minute I got divorced, I had no choice. I had to go back to work. And that's when I went back to school again too.
Mhm. So were you offered any maternity leave at all?
No,
No.
no. Not nurses' aides, there's no benefits as a nurse's aide.
Mhm. So wasn't it difficult for you to like being pregnant and going back to work?
Yeah, you just do it.
So what about your husband? Did your husband like get any paternity leave?
No, because he was in military Air Force. They didn't get maternity leave either. So no.
So I know that you have 4 children, and how do you view them now that they have all grown up? Like, I know that they impacted your career, but like, are you are you happy that you chose to have kids?
Oh, definitely. I love my kids. And all my kids have a career. They've all been very successful. No one's been in jail. Nobody did drugs. Like I feel like I accomplished something because they all turned out well.
So, did you have any help when you got back to school and was a nurse and had your second and third and fourth kid? Like, did you have any help then?
Nope. I had to hire a babysitter and I had to pay myself.
Mhm.
They didn't have
So,
offers of any babysitting in the hospitals back then. Now I think they have babysitting in nurseries and stuff, but back then, nope.
so what do you like the most about becoming a mom?
Um, I did, I just having my kids, just seeing them grow up and be successful.
And what was your least favorite part of becoming a mom?
The work involved. Kids are a lot of work. Kids are a lot of stress. What are they doing? How they do that? Um, my son is the only one that in the dating field, I didn't like who he's dating a couple times, but after discussion with him, why he shouldn't be dating them, he agreed with me, and we ended a couple of relationships because of me. Um, my daughter had one that I didn't agree with, and I ended that. I mean, so they listened to me because I told them, "Been there, done that, and you're not doing it." So I don't want to be like my mom, so I'm doing everything not to be like my mom, which most women want to be like their mom, but I do not want to be like my mom. So I spoil my kids. If they want something, I buy it. They didn't have to pay rent. They didn't have to buy their own clothes. I just did everything that she did not do, if that
So
makes sense.
yeah, that does make sense to me. Did you ever discuss that with your kids that you are giving them everything that you can and that your mother didn't do the same for you, maybe?
All the time, all the time. And they understand because she was called Grandma Jingles because she liked her jewelry and spent a lot of money on jewelry. And then when it came to Christmas, the kids would get, when you buy something, you get something free, or
Mhm.
you get, or like this junk stuff comes in the mail that's free back then. The kids would get that for Christmas gifts for my mom. It's just stuff that she got free. So it's just a joke now with Grandma Jingles gifts. Like sometimes I'll do it just for fun, something I got free, and they'd say, "Is this a Grandma Jingles present?" I'd say, "Yeah." So she was known for her freebie presents. So
So I know that the women's right to a credit card was not a law until 1972. Did you had any problem getting a credit card or a car?
I never had any credit cards when I was younger. Um, the only thing I had problems with getting a loan once, I think, because I was the only provider and it was hard to get a loan.
Mhm. You said that you didn't have a credit card. So when did you first get your first credit card?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. Let me think.
Sure.
I don't think I had credit cards at all until, hmm. Hey Tim, did I have any credit cards when I married you? Yeah, I don't think I had credit cards until I married Tim. So all through high school and after, I did not have credit cards. I paid cash or wrote a check or else did without.
Did you ever apply for one when you were younger?
I don't even think I don't think my mom ever used credit cards that I remember. So I don't ever remember applying for one either. I guess I
What
just
about
wasn't grown up using credit cards, so I don't remember ever having one.
what about
But
your
I
friends?
do remember having one at Sears though, because I had to buy an appliance. Then if you filled out a thing for an application for a credit card, you got percentage off back then. Well, it still is nowadays. I remember I had Sears, so that would have been a credit card.
What about your friends? Did they have a credit card sooner that you got your first one?
I don't think so. I don't ever remember my friends using plastic for anything. Hmm. No, I don't remember anybody using credit card cards. I think it wasn't that prepaid cash card thing. I don't remember credit cards.
So other than credit card, did you have any issue getting a bank account or getting a car or a home?
Um, I paid cash for my first car. Then I turned 18. I moved out of the house and got a car, got an apartment. But it's always cash or check. Um, so I really didn't have to have a cosign or anything for anything because either I had the money or I didn't do it. So I don't
Mhm,
know. I don't think so.
mhm. So let's wrapping up this interview. I learned a lot from you, get to know you. I just have the few final questions. So when we started this interview, I described you as an amazing grandmother and a nurse. How would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as a retired nurse. I feel like I did well in my career. I had a lot of challenges and a lot of success. Um, a lot of the patients loved me. Um, the director of the nursing home that I worked at is still a very good friend of mine and like a second mom to me. Um, I think I'm a good mom. Like I said, all my kids have done well. I'm still in contact with all of them. They all come home all the time. So I feel like I've been a good mom. So, and grandma, I know I've been a good grandma. My 10 grandkids love me. Um,
Mhm,
it's crazy at Christmas around here because I put up several trees and I like buying presents. I like wrapping presents. My bedroom is almost unable to get to the back of it because I need to start wrapping. But 10 grandkids is a lot of gifts because I want to make sure they all get at least 10 gifts.
Oh, wow.
So
So you refer to that colleague of yours, I think it was a supervisor, as your second mother. How was your relationship with her? Why do you call her your second mother?
she was more of a mother than my mom. When I started dating Tim, I was working with her for her. She would come out to meet him when he'd come to take me to lunch or something, and she'd ask him questions. Um, she's the one that advised me what to do and what not to do with him. And she's the one that helped me plan my wedding. She went dress shopping with me. Um, she babysat my children when I needed help. And her husband, they babysat all the time for me. Um, she just was more of a mom than my mom.
Mm,
And she actually showed that she loved me. My mom was not a huggy, I love you at all. You just didn't hear those words. So
mhm. So, looking back on all your experiences, what makes you the most proud of your younger self?
out of my younger self,
Mhm.
that I succeeded raising a daughter without any help.
Yeah.
And she turned out to be pretty good. So she's very successful. She has her master's.
Wow.
She's a trainer. I don't know what they call a trainer. She does public speaking and goes to um, trains people, but through videos, Zoom calls. So I don't know. I don't understand how she gets paid as much as she does for what she does, but good for her.
Yes.
And my son is an engineer. He works for a company in St. Louis and makes very good money. And my other daughter told you is a special ed teacher. She does well. Who am I missing? Oh, Angie. She does closings for um, realtors, the closing, whatever it's called. So she works for them and she does very well.
Mhm,
So they all have good careers. So they're successful. So I
mhm.
don't have to
And
worry about them.
yeah, and I think the fact that they all have succeeded in life makes you proud as a mom, right?
It does. And that I don't have to worry about leaving them money because they have their own money. So they say, Mom, enjoy your own money. You guys earned it. So we take cruises a lot and we travel when we can and we do well.
That's great. That's great. So, what advice would you give to your younger self if you could go back in time?
Um, to stay in school longer, I would have gone more than what I did.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't have had a baby that young if I had my choice. I would have waited till I was older. But can't go back. I did fine. So, I mean,
So,
I'm glad my kids waited to have children older when they were older. So,
so what goals do you have looking forward?
goals of myself right now.
Yeah. Now that you have retired and have plenty of time, I'm just wondering what goals do you have?
Well, right now I'm working on getting my strength back from my back surgeries and trying to walk without the stupid cane. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that's my goal, is to try to walk better. Sooner or later, we're going to have to move. So that's one of our goals, to downsize into a condo. I think we're fine staying here, but my kids say we're not. So who do you listen to?
I'm sure that you're gonna walk pretty soon, and I wish you a fast recovery.
I'm hoping. It's been a long road. It seems like I get one thing better and then something else falls apart. But that goes with age, I guess. I just
That's
do not
true.
want to, as much as I've been in a nursing home, I don't want to end up in a nursing home. I mean,
That's a valid.
I know there's good care and I know there's bad care in nursing homes, so I don't want to be there.
That's valid. I think
So,
not lots of people like nursing home.
yeah, so my goal is not to be in.
I'm sure you're gonna regain your strengths again.
I'm going to try. That's all I can do is try.
Well, you have succeeded in everything that you've ever done, so why not?
Might as well keep on going.
Yeah. So now that you have sorry, let me rephrase that. So as we close this interview, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. It was such a privilege to be able to hear that, and I'm sure it's gonna have a great impact on our audience. And I am very excited to get it posted on our website.